All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be another entry into the series Know Your Worth. And this edition is going to be featuring none other than Mr. Dwayne Haskins, the former quarterback of the Washington Redskins. And, you know, there was a bit of controversy surrounding this storyline, especially in the aftermath of it, where one of the TV personalities associated with ESPN, Booger McFarland, decided that he was going to make it a quote-unquote race issue. I think that people got it misconstrued when Booger said what he said. Basically, what I got from it, or what I inferred from it, is he was trying to communicate how important it is for so-called black men to grasp that you're going to have less opportunities than your compatriots of other races. So you have to make your opportunities count, as long as you adhere to this notion that you should be seeking the validation or the acceptance of conglomerates or corporations or leagues that are led by non-so-called black people. As long as you conform to that paradigm, you're going to have to grasp that you're going to have less opportunities. Therefore, you're going to have to be more focused and on point when it comes to what you do. If some of your colleagues are staying after practice for an hour and a half, you should be there for 2 hours, because once again, the image of the so-called black man is that he's not very intelligent and that he's a failure, and also that he has no leadership qualities. Why is that? Because they've configured the so-called black community to be led by the woman. So as soon as they know that you're a so-called black male, they infer, number one, that you have no leadership capabilities, that you worship women, that you're emotional by nature, that you're going to make bad decisions, because that's what's expected of a community that's led by women, because that's what women do. Women are not good leaders. Women make emotional decisions. Women tend to fold under real pressure. I'm not talking about personal pressure, but real, overt, overarching, macrocosmic pressure, societal pressure. They're going to fold up. That's why the woman seeks after the favor of the liberal Caucasian, because the liberal Caucasian, number one, has power. Number two, is going to tell her what she wants to hear. So she knows that because the liberal Caucasian and the Caucasian in general has power, their word is not going to be projected out void. In other words, they can back up what they say. They don't trust the so-called black man. So all of that is part and parcel to why Booger McFarland said what he said about the former quarterback of the Washington Redskins, Dwayne Haskins, and why it's going to be very difficult for Dwayne to be able to build up any more equity in the NFL. It's going to be a long time before he gets a real starting opportunity in the league. But anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Today, we are starting with a big-time NFL controversy involving a quarterback. Of course, we are talking about Washington football team quarterback Dwayne Haskins.
And let me say this. When I saw one of his interviews before the draft, it didn't impress me at all. It came across as someone who was saying what he thought he was supposed to say when he was not drafted in the order that he thought the draft was supposed to go in. You know, nowadays, these quarterbacks, if they're not drafted in the top three, they all want to be Aaron Rodgers. You know, when Aaron Rodgers was drafted low in the first round, and he basically made a pledge to make every team that passed him up feel sorry for what they did. And we know about Tom Brady being drafted in the 6th round and being able to name all the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him. All these QBs who are drafted and they're not in the top three, they try to act as if they're so incensed by it. We just saw it with the Jewish kid who was drafted out of UCLA a few years ago and has ended up being a huge bust in the draft thus far. He was talking all type of shit about the quarterbacks who were drafted ahead of him. Dwayne Haskins had an interview where he tried to act as if he was going to tear the league up. And really all he's done is fallen prey to a lot of the temptations that stop athletes from being able to, you know, to fulfill their potential or their quote unquote potential. When I say quote unquote, meaning what's assumed by the media they're going to be able to do in the NFL.
Quarterback the team to a really close loss to the Seahawks on Sunday. And I'm sure you've seen these photos by now because these things are all over social media. But after the game, Dwayne Haskins went to the strip club. Was photographed inside. Again, these pictures are all over social media. Not only bad enough that he was at the strip club, also was not wearing a mask. Obviously, with COVID-19, this thing had...
That spells out horny toad. I just don't get it, man. I mean, even if you're going to catch COVID-19, can't you at least catch it getting some pussy? You going to put yourself in a precarious situation just to look at some titties and some coochie? Really? You just gonna be a viewer? I mean, if I'm gonna risk it all, at least I'm gonna get some coochie. I mean, shit.
Completely blown up. Dwayne Haskins is under fire. I give him credit. He has dealt with this thing head on, has already released an apology. Here's what Dwayne had to say about hitting up the strip club. He wrote, "I want to publicly apologize for my actions this past Sunday. I spoke with Coach Rivera yesterday and took full accountability for putting the team at risk."
The team was done with him by then. You could tell them dudes, they were out on him. Totally done. And what's interesting is that the kid that they just drafted, Chase Young, is also out of Ohio State. So I'm sure that he was the most embarrassed of anyone on the squad.
It was irresponsible and immature of me, and I accept responsibility for my actions. I also want to apologize for creating a distraction for my team during our playoff push. I will learn and grow from this and do what's best for the team moving forward.
Well, the team decided that what's best for the team is that you get to step in. That's what they decided, and that's what you would expect from a quarterback who's not been very good, and then on top of that is trying to make himself a story in a way that's not conducive to possible improvement for the team.
So that was the coach. What do you think, Renee? They're in the middle of a big-time playoff push. They haven't made the playoffs in 5 years, and he goes to the strip club after a loss.
I think, it's not even because I know a lot of people are talking about the strip club. It's like, even if you go to the strip club, then you have to at least wear the mask. Like, that's the thing. Like, okay.
No, ma'am. No. There's no excuse for going to the strip club whatsoever. And the mask thing, that's really more cosmetic. That shit doesn't really work in stopping COVID-19. We've seen this already. As a matter of fact, as we watch this episode here, or I should say this video, taken from a segment of the episode of TMZ Sports, the reason why the other person isn't here, who's normally here, Evan Rosenberg, is because he had COVID-19. And according to him, it kicked his ass really bad to where he thought he might not make it. And he was one of the hugest advocates of wear your mask and do this and do that. Am I saying that the mask does not diminish the potential for you to contract COVID-19? I'm not saying that. But overall, that shit is not going to, the mask is not going to stop you from getting COVID-19 if you're meant to get it. You should wear it if you think it makes you feel safer, and if there's any chance that it's going to diminish the percentage of you contracting it. But at the end of the day, what he should have done was stay his ass home. You're not a good enough quarterback to be at the strip club. I don't give a fuck how many masks you have on. You should be at home watching film and be there with your lady, and you can get some ass from her. Maybe she could strip for you. Why the fuck you out there with these little silly, desperate ass hoes for? Who are just showing you ass and titties? You don't even get nothing from him. I mean, maybe he getting some tricks turned from, in a private room or some shit. But I mean, damn, bro. You thirsty like that? It's like, bro, you 21, 22 years old. You the youngest or one of the youngest players on the team. Incoming quarterback. You can't get on the gram and get some ass to come to your place? It's just not intelligent.
Of course, you probably shouldn't have been in the strip club, but don't compound the mistake by not wearing a mask. I think that's what people are having the biggest problem with, the fact that,
No, people are having the biggest problem with the fact that this nigga can't play. He's not a good football player. That's what they're having the biggest problem with. He could have been at the strip club with no mask on, butt-ass naked, motorboating these strippers. And if he would have thrown for 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 8 picks, everybody would have said, okay, well, that's just Dwayne being Dwayne.
Did expose yourself, and now you've exposed your teammates because you don't know, because you didn't have a mask on. And again, during a playoff push, it's not the time you want. It's not the distraction you want.
He should have had this bro stripping for him. I'm assuming that's his woman. I mean, damn.
As coaches, so it's tough because I don't want to sit here and say that there's not other guys at the strip club, because I'm sure there are.
If that's not his woman, my bad, but you get the point.
But you gotta wear a mask.
Yeah, right. And I know I said strip club a bunch opening that segment. Dwayne Haskins is an adult. He's a grown man, so he can go to the strip club.
No, what a grown man means is that you have the discretion to not go to the strip club when you're going to put yourself and your teammates at risk, health-wise or mentally. Because psychologically, many of those players could have felt frayed mentally or, cognitively within their mind just of the thought of their quarterback going to the strip club and possibly contracting something where they're worried now that they're going to take it home to their family. To avoid all that shit, just keep your ass at home. That's what a grown man does. Being a grown man does not mean, oh, well, now I have the right to vote, I have the right to drink, I have the right to go to clubs. Being a grown man means I now have the cognitive function and the discretion, the prudence and the discernment to have these options and know when to utilize them.
I think you're totally right. It's the fact that he wasn't wearing the mask, and if he gets sick, or even if he's by anybody who has COVID, that could literally derail their whole season. First of all, they have a big game on Sunday. Washington is 1 game ahead of the Giants, and they are trying to make the playoffs here. There's 2 games left. If he's exposed to COVID, Dwayne Haskins is not playing, and they might not have a quarterback. So this is
and just so people can understand, even if he gets to play, like let's say hypothetically, if you test and you have to sit out. Everything's a rhythm in sports, so you're messing up your momentum, you're messing up your team rhythm,
Now you're talking, now you're finally saying something worth listening to.
Things like this, that's why coaches never want distractions off the field, because the team is playing well. They're, like as Babcock said, they have a playoff push. You want everything to be focused on this game, and now it's not. So it's a big blow, whether anything comes of it or not. It's something that you don't want to deal with moving forward.
Absolutely. I got to give him respect. At least he didn't try to lie. He didn't say it wasn't him.
Right.
He has taken responsibility, said I messed up. He's a young guy, and I really do believe that he learns from this going forward, and you will not see him make a similar mistake again.
Well, you know what? All apologies are not created equal. You can apologize for stepping on someone's toe by mistake, or you could apologize to someone for, bullying them and beating them down in junior high school and things of that sort. And both infringed parties might claim to accept your apology, but there's going to be some carryover depending on the severity of what you did. Now, in the football sense, there's not much worse that you can do post 2020 than put your teammates at risk by subjecting yourself to certain environments that could cause players to get suspended. Not even just talking about the health risk, but also cause pivotal players to get suspended because you decided you were going to go out there and act like you was a pimp. So we'll see what happens with Mr. Dwayne Haskins' career. But just getting back to the point that I was making at the start of the video, to Booger McFarland's point, there have been so many so-called black quarterbacks who came and went because apparently they did not take their position as the team leader as seriously as they should have. Hopefully Dwayne Haskins will not add his name to that list, but I suspect that he will. So peace.